It has reached a moment when the truth can no longer be hidden. It is out there. Everybody knows the truth. And what really stands out right now is that the more they try to hide this truth, is the more it keeps on exposing itself. I'm talking about the issue where for the longest time black people have been lied to about their origin, about who they are. And most of the times you realize or you find that majority of these white folks know so much about black people more than black folks know themselves. So many times they achieved to lie on the face of everyone. They lie to the world and everyone bought the lie. Everyone agreed with the lie. But something special is happening. As time goes on, as time goes by, people get to see the truth. People get to really see what is really happening. And for the longest time, they told black people that there is nothing great that they are connected with. And I'm talking about a realization that people are having and realizing that, oh, so indeed, black folks are special. Black folks comes from the place where they are the chosen one. For the longest time, white folks have tried to portray themselves as people who are the chosen ones. They have tried to portray themselves as the true, Hebrew Israelites. And for the longest time, they didn't want you to talk about this topic. They didn't want you to know about this truth because at the end of the day, they knew that when you talk about this truth, somehow or along somewhere, the reality is going to be coming out and everyone's going to be knowing the truth about what's really going on. So brothers and sisters, the fact that the truth is out there, there's so much hurt by the truth. Because now everyone is getting to see the reality of the matter. Everyone is getting to see what is really happening. And brothers and sisters, something that they tried to bury for the longest time, something they tried to keep away from black folks, black people are coming and now telling every world and every black kid is being taught this. Black people comes from a special place. Let it be known today that black folks comes from a special place. That's why they worked so much hard to make you feel bad about yourself. And ask yourself, why do you think that self-hate was so much predominant in the black community? Because that's what they try to preach. So when the reality comes out, what is happening to them is what is called the cognitive dissonance. So when the cognitive dissonance happens to them, they don't agree, they don't want to accept that black folks comes from a special case. Brothers and sisters, I want us to watch this video and then I'll be back. I'll be sharing my thoughts in regards to this. If you're joining me for the first time, I'm your host and presenter Deconstructing. So let's get into it. I'll be back.
Brown ones, bro. I was in New York for 6 years.
Say we the real ones? Say we the brown?
The brown ones, bro.
The real Jews, huh?
The real Hebrews, bro.
Shalom Aleichem.
Aleichem shalom, bro.
All right, listen, here's the deal, people. You better wake up. I just heard Jesse Waters mention something about the 1619 agenda from people. Trump mentioned something in his speech last night. Listen, here's what y'all need to realize. Here's what the preachers ain't telling you. Right now in Washington, D.C., there has been a let my people go moment being talked about. This is transatlantic slave trade stuff. These were Hebrew people from the tribe of Yehuda that was enslaved. Judgment is coming to this land. Your leaders ain't telling you about what happened and what's really going on. People, there's going to be a second Exodus while the churches, at some point it's going to happen. We're going to find out whether this land mass is really the real biblical land or if it is still that land over there. There's a second Exodus that's going to take place and it's going to take a lot of people by surprise. That's the truth. Rapture with
Black Israelite is an oxymoron. That's like saying white George Washington.
Okay.
George Washington is white. The real Jews are blacks.
Right.
That's the facts.
Okay. So if somebody who wasn't educated listened to y'all's message and thought you were a black Israelite, would you say, yeah, you guys have the general idea, but that's not correct?
I would say exactly what I told you.
Okay.
Like the exact thing that I told you is that because the world is brainwashed by Christianity.
Right.
Because Israel right now is a white superpower who stole the identity, the popular consensus is that they are the real Jews. But really, they're culture thieves. They created a fake religion. They converted in the 8th century, around 722 AD. And when they converted, they created a fake religion and stole an identity.
So what happened when they converted? Why did
No. The people that you call Jewish today,
Yes.
that you believe to be the Jews,
Okay.
converted to a fake religion called Judaism.
Right. Okay.
That's not who they are not ethnically from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
That's right. Okay. So, how did you said Native Americans, Latinos, and Black people? They're the actual descendants of Abraham.
Correct.
Correct. Would you say that's true in a spiritual sense or in a literal sense?
No, and like spiritually, we're God's chosen people, and ethnically, bloodline.
Okay.
Like you can't. Like if I asked you your nationality, what would you tell me?
It's kind of a general white.
Just generally white, right? Something along those lines.
Right.
But you wouldn't tell me you're Chinese.
I would.
And if you ate every meal with chopsticks, if you put on a chisu,
Wouldn't make a difference.
it wouldn't make a difference. Well, being a Jew is not a religion, it's a blood right.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Birthright. You have to be born from one of the 12 tribes of Israel in order to be a part of the nation of Israel.
So you're literally a descendant.
One thing, and you can spot whether or not you're standing in the middle of a psyop. That one thing is, if the opinion that's coming out needs people to be silenced, it's a psyop. There are psychological operations in play.
Wow. So if you can't question it, if you're supposed to just go along, it's a psyop.
Yeah, and if people have to be silenced or publicly shamed because of their information, and they're not telling people the sky's falling, they're not saying crazy shit. They're just saying basic stuff, and they need to be silenced.
They know who we are.
Tell me about your response to what's going on with Kanye and all of this.
Well, first of all, there is a lot of information that these people are having that seemingly are true, in a sense that many Afro-Americans, they believe that they are part of the Jewish people. I'm not saying that they are or they're not part of the Jewish people. What I'm saying is that there is an idea that some people were part of the lost tribes in parts of Africa. And there is documentaries about it. Rockman, I don't remember too well his name, but he has a commentary on it. He has a documentary on it. So it would be interesting to people to watch it and see by themselves. But there's one problem that what these people are talking about. What is the problem? The problem is that they're trying to collide against the Jewish people. If they think they're Jews or they're part of the Jewish tribes, the lost tribes, whatever they think they are, they should try to unite themselves and not dissipate or create confusion, because a lot of the ideas that these people are bringing are ideas of separation, are ideas of confusion. That's one of the points that I think.
Very good, very, very.
Let's deal with something that people hate to talk about. When Europeans first encountered Jews in Africa, the Middle East, and the islands off of West Africa, they consistently described them as black people. Not metaphorically, not symbolically, literally black. Source after source confirms it. One record says Catholic missionaries in Luango found black Jews living among the people, and they weren't Africans pretending to be Jews. They kept the laws, circumcision, Israelite customs that Africans around them didn't practice. Another historian writes that in the 15th century, Jews expelled from Portugal were taken to the coast of Ghana and to the island of Saint Tomé, and their descendants were described as mulattoes, descendants from Jews, meaning the original group was already dark-skinned. Another source reports Jews still lingering in the Jordan Valley, described by trustworthy travelers as black as any of the Ethiopian races. Further documentation mentions the black Jews of Ondo Forest, tracing their ancestry to the Israelite tribe of Ephraim. Their own traditions said they came through Morocco, maintaining the law and their identity. Other books state plainly the descendants of a colony of Jews, originally from Judea, settled on the coast of Africa, are black. And historians emphasized something important. These Jews remained physically distinct from surrounding African people, meaning their blackness wasn't from African mixing, it was their original phenotype. So here's the logic. Multiple independent European observers across centuries from the Middle East, West Africa, and island colonies all describe Jews as black skin. And with no motive to promote black identity, and describing cultural and religious practices matching ancient Israelites, not African tribes, this is what we call converging testimony. Different sources, different locations, same consistency, same description. The only reason this history was buried is because it contradicts modern narratives. But the documents speak for themselves. Ancient Jews were black, and history proves it. And guess what? That's okay.
The original Hebrew wasn't black. The Jews walk around here talking about I'm Jewish, I'm Jewish, I'm Jewish, but they never say that they're Polish Jews, Russian Jews, they Jewish, never Hebrew, nor Israelite. Right. They say Jew. Right. From the land of Judea, whatever they call it. You understand what I'm saying? But y'all teach the truth, and black people need to know the truth, and it's important to know your heritage. They're quick to say I'm mixed with Indian instead of saying that I'm originated from Africa. Everything started in Africa. Egypt is in Africa. The Middle East is in Africa. The Gaza Strip is in Africa. What they fighting over, all of that started in Africa. So I honor and appreciate what y'all giving out and what y'all teaching the people. It's important. You understand what I'm saying? Yahweh all day. God is good.
First question is the million-dollar question for me, is what are the Jews doing in Portugal?
Now, to answer your question, Portugal used to be a kingdom of Iberia, and so was Spain, what is now called Spain. They probably had another name for it at the time. This was one of the countries, if you will, as a matter of fact, under the name of Iberia, when it used to be one, that our Israelite forefathers settled about the year 711. So I can imagine they came from Timbuktu to Cordova and elsewhere in Spain, and they were there for several years, from 711 to about 1500. So I can imagine then that, yes, they would be Israelites in Spain and in Portugal and elsewhere in the Mediterranean region.
Now, you said about slavery. The people you're talking about, the Israelites, are they different from the people in Jerusalem today?
The answer to that question would be yes.
Mm-hmm.
And to give you the proper details, I would have to go to the scriptures to show the evidence. And in this setting, we are not going to go to the scriptures. We are going to stay within the framework of history.
Hey everyone, just a quick one to say, you do know the term Mizrahi Jews literally simply means Eastern Jews in Hebrew, right? Like, it's not a biblical term, it's not an ancient term, it's not even a traditional term, it's not in the Torah, it's not in the Bible. Mizrahi literally just means Eastern. The term was only coined and used by Israel and their institutions starting in the 1950s, and it was used to differentiate between the European Jews who had come and settled historic Palestine and turned it into a manufactured colony, and the Jews that were coming in from West Asia and North Africa, from the Arab lands. And of course, since they were quite racist, as we know, they needed a term to describe those Eastern people, and so they used the term Mizrahi Jews. And if you needed any more proof about how racist Israel was about this, look up the Israel Black Panther Party founded in 1971 by Mizrahi Jews. You get that one for free. Hey everyone, just a quick one to say, you do know the term Mizrahi Jews literally simply means Eastern Jews.
See, Yahushua warned us about the last days in the book of Revelations, chapter 3, verse 9, that it was going to be people that's claiming to be Jews and are not, but they're actually liars. So what side of history do you want to be on? The side of history where they lied about the truth, or the side of history where they told the truth. Because the truth is, so-called black people, Hispanic people, and Native American Indians are the real Jews according to history and according to the Bible.
When you were a little boy, your dad sat you down on his lap and said, Captain, little captain, you're an Israelite, and I'm an Israelite, and my father's an Israelite, and we've all been Israelites.
My father did not say he was a Jew or an Israelite, but my father did give me a good understanding of the Bible. It wasn't until I met Commanding General Yohanan that they was able to give me the spirit of the Lord and my identity of who I am.
So you were told by your general that you're an Israelite?
Well, I was able to trace my lineage back as far as I could, but our book says, don't strive after endless genealogy. So there came a certain generation. I couldn't go past that. So I just know by tracing that and the spirit of the Lord.
How convenient is it when you just gave an entire soliloquy, to quote you, about how terrible and disgusting all other nations who aren't Israelites are, yet you yourself admitted that you don't have certainty of your genealogy. The reality is, if European Israelites claim that they come from the Israelites in the 12 tribes and they have genealogies to trace that,
they don't.
At some point the genealogy breaks off, as it did with you, right? But the reality is we're dealing with questionable lineages all around. So when we're dealing with a bunch of people who have questionable lineages, don't you think we should focus less on lineage and more on God's commandments, which is actually accessible to us right now?
But that's why, if you notice, I'm talking about your ancestors and how they don't keep Torah.
And I reject that. I followed Leviticus 26 that says, admit your sins and the sins of your fathers. I think my fathers have sinned by rejecting the Torah and following the commandments.
Have you debated them and tell them to get their shit together?
Absolutely. That's what my whole channel is dedicated to.
This is Deuteronomy 28:68, and it says, and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. First of all, they never went into Egypt, and even though the original Egypt dwells in Africa, the modern day Egypt today is America and Babylon. When did they go on ships to Babylon in captivity? That never happened. It says, and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships by the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. And there you shall be sold unto your enemies for bondman and bondwoman, and no man shall buy you. The Ashkenazis, there's no history when they ever went into slavery, into captivity, where they were sold as bondmen and bondwomen, and they remain there to this day. So that's proof they do not fit the descriptions of the Israelites, which the Bible talks about in this precept right here. They are imposters. They are fake Jews. They are descendants of Europeans, okay? That's who they are.
This video is for educational purposes only. This is not bullying or harassment. Thank you so much for this comment. I have been waiting for this comment ever since I revealed my Woke Jesus t-shirt that I just happen to be wearing right now, and you can grab you one in my TikTok shop. I will link it right below. But let's discuss this. So this comment says Jesus was an Arab Jew, not black. So first off, a few things about me that you should know. I was raised as a Christian. Started off in a Baptist church, then started going to a non-denominational church. I've read multiple versions of the Bible from front to back multiple times, as well as have read it in Hebrew, Greek, and Aramaic. I was ordained at 16 and have since spent time deconstructing Christianity and where it stems from, its origins, its history, and its effects on America, especially its effects on Black people in America. Now, I say all that to make clear that I am not a Christian, but I will explain to you why I made this shirt after I address the comment. So one thing you gotta understand, right, is that in biblical times, race was not a thing. Now, race is a modern notion, and during the 16th to 19th centuries, it was used more to describe people's nation or ethnic group. It's during the 19th century that it took on the meaning of physical anthropology through scientific racism. Now, you say that Jesus was an Arab, right? Well, what is an Arab? An Arab is a cultural and linguistic term. It refers to those who speak Arabic as their first language. Arabs are united by culture and by history. Arab is not a race. Some have blue eyes and red hair. Others are dark-skinned. Many are somewhere in between. Now, biblically speaking, Arabs, according to the book of Genesis, are the descendants of Ishmael, the 12 tribes of Ishmael, to which the early Muslims are descended. Now, a lot of people like to say that Jesus was from the Middle East, right? So that automatically makes him an Arab, right? Well, you also need to understand that the Middle East did not exist in biblical times. That was not coined until the late 19th century by the British. thanks to Eurocentric geographical terms: Near East, Far East, Middle East. Now, according to biblical encyclopedias, in the Bible, Arabians refers to the nomads who live in the deserts of Arabia, especially in the northwestern part. They are also known by the general term people of the East. Here are some of the tribes of Arabians that were named in the Bible. Now, in the Old Testament, Arabia was often referred to as Kedem, or the East. Now, was Jesus from Arabia? Because correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought Jesus was born in Bethlehem. Yeah, that's right. Jesus was born in a place called Bethlehem, which is a city south of Jerusalem. Let's take it to a map. Here you can see Bethlehem, and here you can see Jerusalem. This is where Jesus was born. But that really doesn't tell you a whole lot, right? Because we're so zoomed in. So let's zoom out a little bit. Now here's the kingdom of Israel in the time of Jesus. And here you can see again, this is where Jesus was born. So for Jesus to be Arabian, he would have needed to be born in Arabia, according to the Bible, right? So where's Arabia? There it is, over here. And where's Bethlehem? Over here. So Bethlehem is not in Arabia. No, Bethlehem is in Israel. You see this yellow line here? Yeah, that's where it stops, the borders of Saudi Arabia. Now the red border here shows where Israel was, right? The Israeli kingdom, the kingdom of King David. But even if we look closely at where these borders for Saudi Arabia end, Jerusalem and Bethlehem are way over there, not within the borders of Arabia. So then by biblical standards, Jesus was not Arabian, therefore was not an Arab. Now your second point is that Jesus was a Jew. Now we know that Jesus was in fact a Galilean Jew. We hear him referred to as the Galilean quite often. But what is a Galilean? The Galileans are descendants of northern Israelites, not northern Arabians. Interesting. We also know that Jesus was descended from the tribe of Judah. Do you see that listed here for the tribes of Arabia? You tell me. So we need to look up what it is to be Jewish. Well, Jewish people are a group originating from those Hebrews and Israelites in the Levant and whose traditional religion is Judaism. Jewish ethnicity, religion, and community are highly interrelated, as Jewish is an ethno-religion, and not all Jewish people follow it. That's right, Jewish is not a race, it's an identity. That's right, Jewish includes individuals of enormously diverse origins and physical appearances. Jewish people cannot be easily designated a specific race. And fun fact, religion is not central to the lives of most U.S. Jewish people. People who are Jewish by religion are much less likely than Christian adults to consider religion to be very important in their lives. And among Jewish people as a whole, far more report that they find meaning in spending time with their family and friends, engaging with arts and literature, being outdoors, and pursuing their education or careers than they do in their religious faith. So I say all of that to say this. The purpose of my shirt was not to debate about what race Jesus was. My shirt was to point out that Jesus was woke. If you read the quote of Jesus that I have here, it says, "Stand for good," right? "Seek justice and correct oppression." So Jesus was woke, because that's what woke fundamentally means. Now, I just decided that since white people decided they get to make Jesus look like them, I get to make Jesus look like how I want Jesus to look like. Because if you are an actual Christian, right, a true follower of Jesus and his teaching, you wouldn't be bothered by seeing him look like this instead of the blue-eyed, white Jesus that we've gotten for all these years. Because if you're a Christian, like you say you are, if you're not racist like you all claim to be, this should not bother you, because you shouldn't care what race your Lord and Savior is. I just like this one much better. Get yours in the link below. Bye!
For those who get it, get it. All praise to the Most High if you get it. But as an Israelite, when you start to understand, it is a gift that the Most High has extended to you to be able to keep his Sabbaths and feast days. Like, it's a literal gift. and then you look at your own people and you look at the condition of your people who's not keeping the Sabbath, who's not keeping the Most High holy feast days, that's still partaking in Babylon, holidays, madness, indoctrination, and wicked philosophies that they have pushed on the masses, it kind of saddens you. But when you go back and you refer to the scriptures and you realize, like, the Most High gifted you with a day set aside just for his children, the children of Israel, and special feast days to celebrate in honor of him just for you. See, that's the thing. So-called black folks, y'all been tricked to think that y'all don't have y'all own traditions, y'all own cultures, y'all own customs, y'all own book, y'all own laws and stuff, because y'all been so used to the conditioning of the mind from the so-called white man who's taught you how to celebrate Christmas, Thanksgiving, Christmas Eve, New Year's, Easter, 4th of July, and all of his other madness and wicked holidays that you forget. You had traditions too. You had customs too. You got culture too. Your culture consists of what's inside of the Bible, what the Word of God says. We have our own feast days, our own high holy days. Like, we're not supposed to be partaking in these wicked holidays with them because we got our own feast days. But I want to bring out this precept just to remind you, Israelites, you so-called blacks, even those that still sleep and ignorant as to who you are and what the Most High require of you. This is 2 Maccabees, it's 6:6. It say, neither was it lawful for a man to keep Sabbath days or ancient feast days or profess himself at all to be a Jew. Y'all, we come from some treacherous times. It was a time you wasn't allowed to keep the Sabbath. It was a time you wasn't allowed to keep the Most High feast days. And there definitely was a time where you was not allowed to profess yourself at all to be a Jew. But I find it so funny and I laugh. I woke up this morning, I was just laughing because I was just like, all that energy, time, effort, lies, and money that the so-called white man put in to hide so-called black people identity, which you are the true Israelites, the children of God, the children of Israel. He did all that for naught. Because guess what? We still know who we are. We the Israelites. You better put some respect on it.
Now, who are the Israel? So Isaac was a man of African descent. To use today's language, we can say he was a colored. His mother was an Arab or Jew, and his father was an African. Now, Isaac had two children, Esau and Jacob. Jacob and Esau were grandchildren of an African. And now Jacob came to be known as Israel. Now, who are the Israel? They are the children of African people. And that's why when Jesus was born, who was an African, Jesus wanted Palestine to be liberated from the Jews and the Romans. But the Jews were a Bantustan of the Romans. So Jesus, an African, was a threat to the Jews who were puppets of the Romans, and he was a threat to the Romans themselves. And they killed him and said, he's dying for our sins. Which sins? He died for the liberation of Palestine. So he was never a Jew. So the Israelites are not Jews. And then the Jews are white people. And he actually, strictly speaking, they descended from people called the Hyksos. And now the Israelites descended from Africans.
So indeed, the Great Awakening is happening in the face of everyone. We are getting to invasion. We are getting to see something that for the longest time people never thought that it will come to the reality of everyone. It is a great awakening indeed that is happening to the black community. This is a great awakening that black folks are having. They worked so much hard to not let black folks know the truth about everything that is going on. But at the end of the day, you cannot hide this from black people. At some point or somehow, it will have reached a point And it has really reached a point where they have the truth, where they are saying everything that is going on. And this is the reality of the matter. You cannot take away this from black people. You can try hide this. And I usually use this statement. You can hide however much you want. But when the truth decides to come out, there is nothing. I repeat again. You can try to hide whatever truth you want to do. In layman's language, everything that is beneath will come in the front. Everything that's done in the darkness will one day come to light, and everyone will see the truth. And that's what they try to keep away from black folks. They try to keep away this, but the reality and the truth and the great awakening that is happening in the black community could not allow them for this to happen. The great awakening could not allow them for this to be kept for a long time. They tried so hard to change history. They tried so hard to change where black people came from. They tried to change so hard, and they tried to teach black people where they come from. Black folks are learning their own history from a perspective of a white person. Now you understand what is called historical revisionism. This is what they've been doing for the longest time. The idea of interchanging the reality of the matter and keeping it and keeping them believe that whatever they're sharing with you is the truth. Yet the reality of the matter is that they changed everything. They distorted the true history. And that includes some biblical aspects that entails black people. Where black people came from, how black people are presumed. You know, the question of Hebrew Israelites have been a topic for the longest time. And it has been debatable. And you can see some people sometimes become violent when all these issues are being talked about, or all these issues are being raised. You see them become so much violent when these issues are being presented or when these issues are being talked about, which somehow makes you think. You know, you see, when somebody's so much protective about something, 90% out of 100, there is always a catch. There is always something that they're always trying to hide. And that's one thing that they are always trying to hide. That's one thing that they're always trying to keep away from black folks. And the moment they realize that the truth is getting out there, they become angry, they become violent. Because they don't want the truth. They don't want black people to understand all these things that are going on. That's why they've always tried to miseducate people. They've always tried to burn down black libraries. They don't want black folks to be in these places. They don't want black folks to know the truth. Because if black people knows the truth, it threatens the reality that they have. It challenges and it brings something called cognitive dissonance, because now they have to deal with two realities. Something for the longest time that they were taught that they were great, they come from the greatest places, but they came to learn that indeed it's not them. So whatever thing that I've been doing is to take credit from black folks. So this is what I've been doing. And for so many years, they swapped destiny with black people. They portrayed themselves as people who came from a great place. That is what we call destiny swap. They swapped destiny. They never wanted black folks to have it. And that's why they fought so much hard to lie. That's why they fought so much hard, so that black people cannot have all this part of history that they are having. It threatens them. It scares them from the reality or from the fact that black folks came from a better place. And it's now dawning to them. It's now coming to the reality to them that they can no longer lie. And that's why you see some of them become angry. Some of them become enraged. When now all this truth is being shared out there. Where now everyone really get to see what they entail or what they do. All right. You will get to see these things when they are happening. And one thing that you'll do, you'll question. You'll question everything that they are doing, brothers and sisters. So brothers and sisters, please, let me know what you'll think about this video, right? As you know, I'm your host and presenter Unique Stories, but until then, let me see you in my next video. Until then, peace, love, and harmony. Salute.